News 8 at Sunrise in high definition continues.
Welcome back. CPA Dave Young is back with us today. Dave, good to see you.
Oh, it's great to be here.
We're talking about small business and some tax tips for those small business owners. Could always use them. Where do we start?
Well, one of the most overlooked one is your auto deduction. People don't keep track of their mileage. So this is a time of year to gather up all your mileage, make sure you're keeping track of it well. The IRS is going to force you to have really good notes, so make sure you can use one of the programs on TV like, go on the Google Map something so you can get the exact mileage and keep track of that.
All right, home office deductions are available for folks as well if they utilize their home for their business, right?
That's right. It has to be exclusive use, but the IRS a couple of years ago made it much simpler. So you have two options. Use a simple method. It'll just give you $5 per square foot for, say, a bedroom you're using for your office and home. Key is it can't be greater than 300 square feet, so that you can't write off the whole thing. They'll give you 300 square feet, but you don't have to keep track of a lot of records. Just make sure it's exclusive use.
Now, I get my kids out raking leaves, but this is not what you have in mind when you say hire your children, right?
Hire your children is a very overlooked little tool for small business. It has to be a sole proprietor, but if you have a child who's actually doing legitimate work, so it has to be something that say a 15 or 16-year-old kid could do, you can pay your child, not pay any FICA on it, so no Social Security tax being withheld from you, plus you get a deduction, and if it's less than the standard deduction, roughly $6,200, your child wouldn't have to pay income tax on that as well.
That could be a real bonus.
And one other bonus on that child could put that money into a Roth IRA.
Sure, let it grow.
Right.
All right, Section 179, what are we talking about here?
That is just a little code section in the Internal Revenue Code. That means you could write off in one lump sum, let's say this year $25,000. So you buy a few computers, you could write them all off at one time rather than depreciating them over 5 years.
Way to manage a big expense. You got to keep good records. That's important.
That is key. This is the time of year you're doing your tax plan. You can't figure out where you're going unless you know where you are. This is really an area where people mess up. You really need to keep good track of your records, keep track of who's an independent contractor, who's an employee, what you have coming in, what you have going out, so you can look at your records and see where you stand, so you can go into saying tax planning and figuring out, do I have to pay in? For taxes, you want to pay 110% of last year's or 90% of this year if you're a small business, or else you can get a penalty for underpaying in your taxes for the IRS and New York State.
All right, so put the time in now. A couple more tips we'll share on our website. But before we go, we do need to mention Small Business Saturdays.
That's right. It's coming up this Saturday. And small businesses are really the lifeblood of this country. So I encourage people to go out and support Small Business Saturday, this coming Saturday, the 28th.
All right. Sounds like a plan. Dave, thank you. Great to see you.
It's great to be here.
If you missed any of this, we'll share it on our website as well, including a link to the State Society of CPA's website. It's at rochesterfirst.com.